He once made batsmen so scared that some of them didn't even want to walk onto the field. One of his bouncers ended a man's career and nearly ended his life. For years, people called him a villain, a cheat, a man who bent the rules just to win. Today, Barbados is building him a statue. Charles Christopher Griffith was born on December 14, 1938, in a small place called Pie Corner in St. Lucie, Barbados. He was one of 8 children, growing up in a house with barely enough room to breathe, let alone dream about playing cricket for his country. Nobody in that house was thinking about international fame. They were thinking about getting through the week. As a kid, Griffith wasn't even a fast bowler. He started out bowling spin, the slow stuff, nothing that would scare anybody. Then one day, in a random club match, he decided to try bowling fast instead. He finished that game with figures of 7 wickets for just 1 run. From that moment on, he never bowled spin again. Word about this kid with terrifying pace spread fast, the way it does in small places where everybody knows everybody. In 1959, he played his very first proper match, going up against the touring England team. In the space of 2 overs, he knocked over 3 England batsmen, who'd go on to be some of the most respected names in the sport. People in Barbados started paying attention, whispering his name in rum shops and outside church on Sundays, the way small islands do when they think they've found something special. Then, in March 1960, a man from the Barbados Cricket Association showed up at his house on a Tuesday evening and told him he'd been picked for the West Indies Test squad. Griffith had barely played 1 first-class match in his entire life. He hadn't even been match fit, having gone months without playing anything competitive. He said yes on the spot anyway, and only later admitted it hadn't hit him yet what he'd actually agreed to. A young man from a house of 8 children, about to represent his entire country on a stage most people never even get to dream about. What came next turned him into one half of the most feared bowling partnership cricket had ever seen. Alongside a bowler named Wes Hall, Griffith helped build an opening attack that made grown men flinch before they even reached the crease. Together, they were loud, relentless, and impossible to settle against. Batsmen talked about facing them the way soldiers talk about walking into gunfire, describing sleepless nights before facing the West Indies attack, knowing what waited for them at the other end of the pitch. In 1963, the 2 of them tore through England, with Griffith alone taking 32 wickets in 5 matches, finishing just 1 wicket behind England's own great fast bowler that entire series. A year later, cricket's most respected publication named him one of its Cricketers of the Year, an honor reserved for the very best in the game. He was 25 years old and already one of the most talked-about bowlers alive, feared on every continent that played the sport. But fear and admiration aren't the same thing, and Griffith was about to learn that the hard way. In a match against a touring Indian team, Griffith bowled a bouncer that struck the Indian captain, Nari Contractor, directly on the back of the head. It fractured his skull. Doctors operated to save his life that same night, and for a moment, nobody was sure he would survive at all. Contractor did survive, but his international career ended in that instant, taken from him by a single delivery he never even saw coming. The story haunted Griffith for years afterward, a moment he had to carry quietly, knowing his job on a cricket field had permanently altered another man's entire life. Later in that same match, an umpire called Griffith out for an illegal bowling action, accusing him of throwing the ball instead of bowling it properly. That accusation followed him everywhere for the rest of his life. It wasn't just one bad headline that faded with time. Every time Griffith walked out to bowl after that, somewhere in the crowd, somewhere in the press box, somebody was watching his arm instead of watching the ball, waiting to catch him doing something wrong. Think about what that actually means for a person. Imagine being one of the fastest, most respected bowlers alive, and still having to prove over and over again that you weren't cheating to get there. No matter how many wickets he took, no matter how many great batsmen he dismissed, that same question trailed behind him, like a shadow he couldn't outrun. Was he genuinely just that fast? Or was he bending the rules the entire time? He never got a clean answer, and honestly, neither did anyone watching. What we do know is that the whispers never stopped him. He kept bowling. He kept terrifying batsmen. And by the time his career ended in 1969, he'd played 28 test matches, taken 94 wickets, and built a reputation that outlived every accusation ever thrown at him. Across all first-class cricket, that number climbs even higher, past 330 wickets in less than a decade of play. Then, just like that, it was over. No fanfare, no farewell tour, no victory lap. Griffith walked off the field and back into an ordinary life most fans never got to see, carrying a controversy that would follow his name for the rest of his life, whether he liked it or not. Here's the part that surprises people the most. The man who once fractured a national captain's skull, who terrified some of the greatest batsmen alive, went home and worked as a clerk for the Barbados Transport Board whenever he wasn't playing cricket. After his playing days ended completely, he moved into managing a lumber firm and later worked as a business consultant. No mansion, no luxury car collection, no headlines about hidden fortunes. Just a man clocking in for ordinary work, the same way millions of other people do every single day. And that's exactly why the question of his money is so hard to answer honestly. Search his name online and you'll find plenty of pages calling him a wealthy retired legend, but almost none of them point to an actual number, an actual business, or an actual bank account. It's the same problem you find with a lot of retired athletes from that era. Cricketers in the 1960s weren't paid anything close to what modern players earned. There were no massive broadcast deals, no global sponsorships, no franchise leagues handing out million-dollar contracts. Whatever Griffith earned from cricket back then was almost certainly modest compared to today's game, and everything he earned after that came from ordinary jobs, not endorsement deals or business empires. So if you're picturing Sir Charlie Griffith relaxing in some luxury retirement funded by cricket riches, that picture probably isn't real. What is real is something quieter and honestly more impressive. For almost 30 years after he stopped playing, Griffith spent his time coaching and mentoring young cricketers back home in Barbados, showing up to nets and school grounds long after most retired stars would have walked away entirely. Two of the players he helped shape were Desmond Haynes and Malcolm Marshall, both of whom went on to become legends in their own right, carrying pieces of what Griffith taught them into stadiums all over the world. While the cricket world kept arguing over whether his old bowling action was fair, Griffith was quietly building the next generation of players who'd carry Caribbean cricket forward long after he was gone. He wasn't chasing headlines. He wasn't trying to clear his name in public, and he never really got the chance to. He was just showing up, year after year, teaching kids how to bowl the way he once had, controversy and all, letting his work speak for him in a way his own career never fully got to. For decades, real recognition barely came his way. While his old bowling partner Wes Hall received his knighthood back in 2012, Griffith waited years longer for his own, watching from the sidelines as the game slowly made peace with a version of him it once wasn't sure it could trust. Then, finally, in 2017, as Barbados celebrated 51 years of independence, the nation gave him the title he'd earned decades earlier. He became Sir Charles Griffith, a Knight of St. Andrew, placed on the very same level as the man he used to terrify batsmen alongside. For a man who spent his whole career being questioned, it was the closest thing to a final verdict he was ever going to get, and it came down entirely in his favor. 9 years after that knighthood, Barbados went one step further. A group of friends who used to meet for lunch every Tuesday came up with an idea: honor the legends of that golden cricket era in stone, the same way they already had for Sir Wes. A local sculptor got to work, and in 2026, a permanent monument of Sir Charlie Griffith was unveiled at Kensington Oval itself, placed in the very same ground where so many batsmen once feared to face him. People who once questioned every ball he bowled now walked past a statue of him, carved for good, standing exactly where his legend was built in the first place. Think about the distance between those two images. A kid from a house of 8 children in Pie Corner, so poor that cricket wasn't even something his family had time to imagine. A bowler so terrifying he fractured a national captain's skull and spent his whole career being accused of cheating to do it. A grown man clocking in as a clerk and later running a lumber business, with no luxury lifestyle to speak of and no hidden fortune waiting to be uncovered. And now, decades later, a permanent statue of his own, standing on the exact ground where strangers once whispered about whether he deserved to be there at all. That's the real story of Sir Charlie Griffith. Not a hidden fortune, not a luxury life, just a humble man who terrified the best batsmen alive, carried a controversy that never fully let go of him.